it focused on creating learning material standards that would exceed the expectations of educators and learners.
My fourth book is officially up, so please check it out. Link is in the description below. This is a collection, again, of short stories and poems, and this one is more tied to the theme of psychological thriller. So if you're a fan of those, you'll like my books. See you all next time. Okay, so I thought I would do another What If I Was Asked to Play, and I'm going to do Hamlet right now because Hamlet, to me, is a very good play by Shakespeare and one of my favorite Shakespeare plays. And more specifically, I just wanted to get kind of my Shakespeare drive, like all the ones that I wanted to do with Shakespeare, out of the way, over and done with. So I've done Romeo and Juliet, I've done Macbeth, I've done Othello, not from an acting perspective, but from a directing perspective, and finally Hamlet. And I'm going to get this done so that I can just have all Shakespearean type videos out of the way and all the plays that I wanted to do with Shakespeare. Like I said, I am a huge fan of Hamlet. I think it's one of Shakespeare's best plays, and I just, one of the reasons I really like Hamlet specifically, I know it's long, like, the Kenneth Branagh film as well, like it's a 4-hour plus film, Justice League of the 90s, I guess, but in a way this is a movie that, a play, that I always wanted to play, and I found the character of Hamlet very, very relatable, and that's one thing that I think Shakespeare does incredibly well, which is writing characters that are incredibly relatable. So yeah, I feel like I can relate to this guy, so let's do it. How would I do if I played Hamlet? Part 1, the research. What I would mainly do, honestly, is just focus on just researching the time, researching the play, of course. Try to kind of research what was going on in Shakespeare's mind when he wrote the play and the character of Hamlet. And more specific, again, just research the time, just try to, and the dialogue, of course, too, and the language, but also as well, it's just to like research the period so I can have things be as authentic as possible. Getting into characters, so for Hamlet, I would probably just wear, in terms of, depending on what it is, because it could do stage or film, or it could do both. If I would prefer one, I would choose film, of course. But I might do both at one point, or I might do just the play, who knows, actually on a stage. So we'll see. But one of the main things I would get into characters, obviously I would try my best to learn the Shakespeare language, read the play like literally every day, research the time period, and more specifically try to kind of act like how people back then would act, and maybe somehow just try to speak in a way, an iambic pentameter, in a way of, with normal everyday things, so that I can get used to the speech pattern as well, I think. Now, one thing I want to say is, like I've said many times before, every time I've done one of these, I'm not a fitness instructor, and I'm not a dietitian or nutritionist or anything. This is just me giving my personal opinion. But for the workout for Hamlet, it would actually be very different. It would kind of be like the opposite of Macbeth. With Macbeth, what I would do is I said that with that I would just eat whatever I want and do whatever I want and try to gain as much weight as possible, and not just muscle, but just overall, so that way, because I feel like Macbeth is someone that has not only severe PTSD, but severe issues psychologically, and because he has severe issues psychologically and like a defense mechanism, he does these things to get his mind off of all that stuff. And he does things that maybe are not so good, like eating a lot of food, drinking, and that kind of stuff. So I would feel like I would do it with this too, but kind of like the opposite. So yes, I would eat a lot at first in terms of like pre-production and getting ready. Like, for example, if it was for film in the pre-production stage and the casting and all that, I would try to gain as much weight as possible, muscle mass, all that stuff. As soon as the play starts, because Hamlet is so indecisive and so distracted by everything and just has a hard time making decisions, I feel like it would kind of get to the point where his focus on revenge and focus on wanting to kill his uncle and avenge his father is going to get to the point where he stops kind of looking after himself. So I would like lose as much weight as possible because I wouldn't exercise as much. I would still exercise, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't pull a, Christian Bale in The Machinist where I lost like 80 pounds of my overall weight and I look like a skeleton. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't do anything like that, but what I would do is I would just gain as much weight as possible. And then throughout the course of filming, I would try to lose weight, but slowly and progressively. Like I would still work out, like maybe instead of lifting heavy stuff or being as focused on exercise, I might have a cutoff point for exercise and have a cutoff point for calories. But leading up to that, I would just eat as much as possible and exercise as much as possible. And in terms of the workout specifically, I want to mention as well is one of the things I would do actually is I would try to lift as heavy as possible so I can get as big as possible. I have a couple of weights in my house and they're no more than 15 pounds, but you can connect them together to make a 30-pound barbell. And when you connect the 30-pound barbell, I also have a couple of sandbag wrist bracelets and a couple of ankle weights that you can tie to make it look like that, give it more weight, and if you put it on the bar, you can actually get to the point where I can put about 40 to 50 something pounds. So I can make it go up quite a bit, but it's not a lot. But the reason I would exercise like that is just try to have myself be as big as I possibly could, and then again slowly lose the weight as time went on. And again, the diet, just eat whatever, drink whatever, and just try to gain as much weight as possible. So would I try to eat healthy? For sure. Like I wouldn't get up and just eat like 5 bowls of chips just to gain weight. Of course not. But maybe just eat more than usual. Like if on average I eat like 2 bananas a day, force myself to eat 4. Instead of maybe eating, if you eat 1 chicken breast a day, maybe eat 2 or 3, just to gain more mass, and so I can keep gaining. And then as soon as production starts, and even if it's on stage, by the way, the first time I would do the play, I would actually just not eat as much, not exercise as much, for the simple fact that I have to, that to make myself look depressed. Like this guy who's so distracted on revenge and everything that he just slowly loses weight and slowly loses mass with time. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you all next time.
It focused on creating learning material standards that would exceed the expectations of educators and learners.
My 4th book is officially up, so please check it out. Link is in the description below. This is a collection, again, of short stories and poems, and this one is more tied to the theme of psychological thriller. So if you're a fan of those, you'll like my books. See you all next time.